Did you know there's an entire continent on Earth where the call to prayer has never been heard? Where there's nothing but ice for 5.4 million square miles. But is there really no mosque there? Today we're uncovering a truth that will shock you. And that place is Antarctica. Is the only reason the ice and the minus 128 Fahrenheit cold? Or is there a global law hiding behind it that stops the entire world from building there? Today, we'll break down this mind-blowing reality step by step. Hello, friends. The first thought is, it's just too cold. And that's not wrong. This is the place where temperatures have dropped to minus 128 degrees Fahrenheit, where breathing becomes a challenge. But the real truth isn't just ice and cold. Behind it is a global system that makes Antarctica completely different from any other land on Earth. Here, country ownership, religious buildings, permanent cities, and environmental protection. Everything runs under one special international law. But just for a moment, imagine this. You're a Muslim scientist sent on a mission to Antarctica. All around you is nothing but ice. You hear nothing except the wind. The temperature is so low that standing outside for a few minutes is dangerous. Day one feels new. The silence, the whiteness, a strange kind of peace. But as days pass, a feeling slowly grows in your heart. Where will I pray? No mosque, no call to prayer. No Islamic environment. Just you and a frozen world. You go to your small room. Take off your jacket. Lay your prayer mat in a corner. But then another question hits you. Which way is the Qibla? You pull out a compass, but here directions get confused. Because near the South Pole, every direction is north. You wonder, what time is it for prayer? The sun is out, but this isn't a normal day. This is a sun that doesn't set for 6 months. Or sometimes it doesn't rise for months. So what do? Follow your home country's time? Or Mecca's time? These are questions that only exist in Antarctica. And this is the moment you realize worship isn't about place. It's about intention. But the story doesn't end there. A few days later, you're with people from other countries. Someone from America, Russia, Japan. Everyone busy with work. But in your heart, a thought appears. I wish there was a mosque here. A place where all Muslims could gather, pray Jummah, build a community. You talk to your colleagues. They say, yeah, that's a good idea. But the moment you try to move forward, you hit reality. Building anything here isn't easy. You need permission, not from one country, but from dozens of countries. Because Antarctica has no single government. Every decision is made together. And the second you say the word mosque, it stops being about a building. It becomes a global discussion. Would they allow it? Would it set a precedent? Would other religions demand their own buildings too? And if that happens, does Antarctica lose its original purpose? These are the questions that turn one small idea into a massive issue. And that's why, to this day, the idea has stayed an idea. It's never become reality. The absence of a mosque doesn't mean prayer isn't possible. It means prayer here is personal, in silence, in solitude, in an environment where a person feels closer to their creator. But a permanent mosque? That's still just a dream. So let's break this mystery down layer by layer. The first and most obvious obstacle is Antarctica's environment. This is the coldest, driest, and windiest place on Earth. Winds here reach 186 miles per hour. And the ice isn't just frozen, it's alive. Yes, Antarctic ice moves like a glacier. It shifts several meters every year. Now imagine, you're building a structure, and the ground itself is slowly flowing away. It's like trying to build a house on top of a river. That's why every research station here is either temporary or built on special elevated platforms so the Ice can pass underneath. In that case, a traditional mosque with a dome, a minaret, a permanent foundation. It's not just difficult. It's an almost impossible engineering challenge. But let's say we solve every technical problem. We face an even bigger wall. And that wall isn't made of ice. It's made of law. It's called the Antarctic Treaty System. In 1959, when the world was in the Cold War, 12 countries made a historic decision. They decided Antarctica would be kept away from politics, war, and power struggles. Today, over 50 countries are part of this agreement. Under this treaty, this continent is reserved only for peace and scientific research. No military bases can be built, no weapons testing, no mining, and most importantly, no country can claim it. That means Antarctica isn't owned by any one nation. It's the shared heritage of all humanity. Now, a critical question arises. When there's no country, no city, no permanent population, then who would a mosque or any place of worship even be for? Only a few thousand scientists and staff live here, and they stay for just a few months or years before going home. There's no permanent community that would create the need for a permanent house of worship. But here's an interesting fact. Places of worship aren't completely absent in Antarctica. For example, at America's McMurdo Station, there's a small chapel, and at Russia's station, there's a wooden church. But these aren't large buildings. They're small room-like spaces for the few people stationed there, and they're considered part of the research station. This shows that if a large, permanent Muslim presence ever existed at a station, a small prayer room might be possible. But to this day, a permanent Muslim community has never formed that would require a mosque. And now we come to another fascinating aspect. If you're standing in Antarctica, which way is the Qibla? Because at the South Pole, every direction is north. Similarly, in many parts of Antarctica, there are 6 months of daylight and 6 months of night. So how do you determine prayer times? How do you fast? Islamic scholars have provided solutions, like following the times of Mecca or the nearest city. But it shows that worship here is far more complex than anywhere else in the world. So in the end, the absence of a mosque in Antarctica isn't due to discrimination or conspiracy. It's the result of 3 major realities. First, an extreme and moving environment. Second, the Antarctic Treaty, which reserves it only for peace and science. And third, the absence of any permanent Muslim population. In reality, Antarctica's silence isn't a sign of lack. It's a sign of a massive decision. It reminds us that humans, when they want to, can put aside their differences and preserve an entire continent for knowledge, research, and the future. If you want to see more mind-blowing, fact-based stories, click the video on your screen. Like this video and don't forget to subscribe to Fact Finder. Write in the comments, Islam is alive everywhere. See you next time.